Cool. So today we'll be talking about the fourth hermetic principle, which is the principle of polarity. Of course, last week we covered not last week per se, but previous principle we covered was the principle of vibration. Before that, we covered the principle of correspondence, and before that, the principle of mentalism. If you are interested in learning more about the previous principles, please check down below. I've added a link to the playlist with all the hermetic principles that I'm covering in all of these videos, so you can get the full breakdown on them. I've said this in the previous video, but I have missed out some points about a few things. For example, in the principle of correspondence, I forgot to mention that it's you are microcosm of the macrocosm. I didn't mention fractals, so I didn't mention that we live in a fractal universe. Everything is corresponding, and everything is kind of showing you that as small, so it is also in the big. So I didn't talk about these things, but I might talk about those in future videos. But let's get into this one. So today we're going to cover the principle of polarity, which says that everything has its pair of opposites, which are identical in nature but differ in degree. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. As we know, with these hermetic principles, understanding these principles, we get to see how to transcend any feelings, emotions, and thoughts that don't aid to our joyful experience. And also, we learn how to transcend thoughts, emotions, and feelings that present the illusion that we have no control. Because once we understand these principles, we can play the game of life. As you learn about this information, it will start manifesting in your life. We'll learn more and more about it, where it will actually present itself in its physical expression as to how you can identify, oh, this is the principle of correspondence, this is the principle of polarity. It will start making more and more sense. The key of understanding all this information is transcendence, is to come back who you are, is to reconnect, reawaken to your limitless potential, and that you came here for joyful, peaceful, blissful experience of life, no matter the circumstances. So let's get into it. I call this principle of polarity, I call it the transcendence principle, because learning this will help one understand that everything is simply existing on either ends of the same spectrum. In this fashion of understanding this concept, we come to realize that all polarities are to be experienced, enjoyed, and observed as we do. We come here to experience a full spectrum, not merely one side. Also, it is inevitable that you will have a perspective from both sides, from both ends of life, the good and the bad, and the favorable and the favorable. Living in a dualistic 3D world, you will experience a full spectrum. So, knowing this knowledge sets you on a path of liberation. In the next slide, I'm breaking down this image on the right. So, on the image on the right, we can see negative and positive are encircled by this capsule, and it's existing in the same capacity, in the same realm, in the same spectrum. So here we go. This is life, and this is happening, and this is the experiences, the positive and the negative. Let's say this capsule here is kind of like the experience and the spectrum of life, and the spectrum of experiences and the capacity in which they exist. This is you here, observing this, having the experience. All right, you are joyful, you are peace, bliss, love, and joy. That's your natural state. So you transcend the polarities of the good and the bad, and you get to enjoy life. You have full enjoyment throughout the entire spectrum of all experiences and situations. So, getting more into this principle of polarity and giving you a breakdown as to what the Kybalion says about this. This is where I source a lot of my information, and where you can find a lot of breakdowns and examples of these hermetic principles. All right. So the principle of polarity, the fourth great hermetic principle from the Kybalion, declares everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. So this principle reveals that all manifested things possess two sides, two aspects, or two poles with manifold degrees between the extremes. It explains the age old paradoxes that have puzzled humanity, offering a key to understanding offering a key to understanding the unity beneath apparent opposite. So there is a unity between things that seem to be opposite. From the experience and the esoteric information out there and experience I had, this unifying underlying experience, or this unity underneath all opposites, is the pure consciousness, the pure experience, the source that is expressing itself into a form. So source underlies everything. States of constant, your pure consciousness underlies everything, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. What matters is there's a unifying experience, this unifying consciousness that's happening with all things, all the time, every day, through everything, across the board, on every single plane, mental, spiritual, and physical. So polarity teaches that the difference between seemingly opposing forces, such as light and darkness, heat and cold, or love and hate, is merely a matter of degree along a single continuum. For instance, consider a thermometer. There is no absolute point where heat ends and cold begins. It's all a spectrum of vibration, with lower vibrations labeled cold and higher ones heat. Similarly, travel east around the world and you eventually reach the west of your starting point, showing that opposites are interconnected points on the same circle. This idea resonates with sayings like everything is and isn't at the same time. There are two sides to everything, and there is a reverse side to every shield. These maxims reflect humanity's intuitive grasp of polarity. The hermetic teaching goes further, asserting that thesis and antithesis, opposing ideas, are identical in essence, reconciled through the recognition of their shared nature and varying degrees. So, this principle manifests across all planes of existence. So, on the physical plane, we can see that heat and cold are poles of the same phenomenon, differing only in vibratory rate. The musical scale follows this too. Moving from one C to the next spans degrees of pitch, yet both are part of the same harmonic continuum. Colors from low red to high violet vary by vibration, as do size, large and small, and sound, noise, and quiet. So as we can see, even the that which is physical, that which we can experience, exists on a single continuum. It exists with a polarity. So polarity is manifesting in physical reality, as we know. Then on the mental plane, but also I would say included is the emotional plane. But let's say mental plane, okay, we have love and hate. Often these are seen as opposites, but they are poles on the same emotional scale. At the midpoint, like and dislike blur. And by raising your vibration from hate toward love, you can transmute one into the other. Courage and fear operate similarly. Fear can be transformed into courage by shifting your mental polarity. So, in a mental fashion, polarity manifests itself. Then, in a spiritual sense, on the spiritual plane, we see that spirit and matter seemingly opposite, are poles of the same reality, with intermediate planes as degrees of vibration. The all and the many are the same, differing only in degree of mental manifestation, aligning with the idea that the infinite mind encompasses all finite minds. So we can see here clearly that polarity is evident in many on many planes and manifests itself. So, polarity resolves paradoxes by showing that extremes meet. For example, in Taoism, the yin yang symbol embodies this principle of polarity, illustrating how opposites, which is the yin and yang, are complementary, each containing the seed of the other. This mirrors the hermetic view that good and bad, positive and negative, are relative terms on a scale with no absolute standard. Less good is more good than the next lower degree. In Sufism, the concept of divine unity suggests that apparent opposites, joy and sorrow, creation and dissolution, are reconciled in the oneness of the divine. As Rumi wrote with this quote that is here, beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there, pointing to a transcendent unity beyond the polarity, accessible through spiritual insight. So we see that this paradoxes of this polarity of, the good, the bad, and the light and the dark is just manifestations of this dualistic understanding which we have. But ultimately, there is the one unifying experience, the divine unity, as written here, the the unity of the thing that exists underneath everything, whether it's good or bad, the pure awareness, the pure consciousness. So we can see here within the principle of polarity, we can control this with our perception. And I'm going to break this down. So, perception is the hidden key to unlocking the full potential of the principle of polarity, as we know the transformative force outlined in these hermetic principles. Perception shapes how you experience reality, acting as a silent architect of your world, of how you see the world. So, consider this: your mind is constantly interpreting the events around you, yet this process is rarely acknowledged. When harnessed, perception becomes a powerful tool to master the polarity. When ignored, it turns into a weapon that traps you in undesirable states. And below, we will explore how to use perception to your advantage and genuine benefit. So, perception, the most overlooked tool for mastering polarity is perception. The way you interpret reality, it's a metaphysical lens coloring your world, yet, if left unconscious, it becomes a weapon against you, locking you into negative poles like poverty or failure. So, always, how we see reality is how we're going to experience it. And also, it's like adding a frame to your life. So, if you have the frame of failure, of poverty, of not good enough, you will experience that more and more, and that will be your reality. So, the next power of perception as a tool is conscious choice over unconscious acceptance. So stop being a slave to reality's default perceptions. You don't need to be a slave to anyone's perceptions or to your own perceptions. Choose to see wealth in scarcity or beauty in perceived ugliness. For instance, if you feel poor, actively perceive the wealth in your skills or relationship, shifting your vibration to that polar side. This is the understanding of polarity, that we know within an experience there is an opposite experience which can be had and can be enjoyed, because this is your natural power. This is the power of you. This is your your conscious ability, and the power that you were given to be able to enjoy this experience instead of be miserable and not enjoy it and feel stressed about it. So the next power of perception as a tool is that we are molding reality through perception. So your reality is a projection of your subconscious belief fed by your perception. By consciously choosing to perceive every circumstance as a win, regardless of its appearance, you alchemize your experience. So you can practice this by affirming that this moment is a success, even in times that are unfavorable, even in times that are undesirable, because that is your power. You can shift from undesirable, unfavorable, a so-called unlucky place to then shift into um, the perception that everything's working out for you, everything's happening for you, everything's perfect, everything's aligning right now as it is, as you see it, and it's all perfect. It's all it's all for your enjoyment. It's all for your genuine benefit. It's all for your highest good. And that is the principle of polarity. If you want more deeper information, please read the Kabbalion. And remember that you are here to enjoy this experience. You transcend the polarity, so you don't have to be stuck in just the emotions of things, in the thoughts of things. You don't need to be stuck in these things. And the key here is to transcend, to tap into your pure consciousness, that which you are, that which is the observer of all of these experiences. Okay, and understand that whenever you go through something good or bad, that there is an equivalent seed of the other side of the spectrum. Okay, so everything is merely a shift in degree. Everything is merely a shift in vibratory rate, which you have complete control over. And that is the good part of all this. That's the good news, is that you have the ability to shift. You have the ability to change your vibration consciously with conscious thought. Then you lead into, reframing your perception and reframing how you see these things. Everything is happening for you. Everything is happening to your best genuine benefit, and this experience is for you to enjoy. If you want to see the rest of the videos, please check the link below to the playlist, and you can get to see a full breakdown of the other hermetic principles. Anyway, have a good day and take care.